All right, now there's a very popular video I seen floating around on Instagram where practically this cat was saying that these two shoes are exactly the same two shoes that he's referring to. The point that he was trying to make is to say that the Air Jordan 4 Wet Cement, which is also known as like the Paris Olympics, versus the Air Jordan 4 Nigel Sylvester Brick by Bricks, and he was saying you guys love this shoe so much because it was a collab, and you hated this shoe so much because it was just a GR, but it's the same exact shoe. There's no difference to them. It's the same exact shoe, and you guys only like this one because it's a collab. So number one, to his credit, there are some similarities between these shoes. So let me start there. Let's start with the three similarities that these two shoes have in common. So number one, we're going to go ahead and start with, simply put, the color. The Wet Cement 4s is just a predominantly gray shoe. Predominantly, we only have one hit of white, which is that they're actually in the Air unit, and then the Air Jordan 4 Brick by Bricks, the Nigel Sylvesters, is a predominantly red shoe. So he does have a point. There is a similarity there. The next similarity we have is going to be the box. Both of these boxes are kind of built behind like a brick and cement, right? Cobblestone streets for the Wet Cement 4s, represented, by the cobblestone streets out in Paris, France. Obviously, Nigel Sylvester is from Queens, New York, and this kind of shows like the simulation of a brick, showing how his progression and success in life, his story has been built brick by brick, one brick at a time. That is another similarity. And then third similarity between the two is actually going to be they both are Air Jordan 4. So yes, it's the same exact silhouette. Now, shout out to Nike. Shout out to Nike, because sometimes it can be a little different to show, like, to distinguish the difference between, whenever you work with the same silhouette. But shout out to them for these little subtle hits, because now here it comes. Here it comes. Here goes 15, yes, 15 differences between the Air Jordan 4 White Cement and the Air Jordan 4 Brick by Brick. Check it out. Yeah, I know you saw me using my shoehorn, as a microphone. Little side note there. You know what that shoehorn goes to. Yeah, they're talking about these are coming back out 2026. Let me know what y'all think. I could use another pair. Holla. All right, let's start with the first difference. Number one, this is going to be an easy one. It's just going to be the materials, right? We have two different types of materials on these two kicks. Take a look at the Air Jordan 4 Wet Cements, which I'm just going to call them the Wet Cement. I don't need to keep saying Air Jordan 4. Take a look at the Wet Cement. We're just going to kind of have like that low cut nubuck there. You can still see it changing directions and stuff like that within this nubuck. But on this brick by brick, you're going to see it's a little bit hairier, and it just changes directions a whole lot better. So the materials are different. I do like both materials on here. Personally, I do like the materials on the brick by brick a little bit better, but that is number two. Let's go ahead and move on to number two, which is simply going to be the caging. If you take a look at the caging on the Wet Cement 4s, we have no netting there. And right there where the netting is normally at in that caging area, this is what's called, it's kind of stamped in. That's called debossed. It is stamped in right there, and you see we have no netting on the Wet Cement 4s versus on the Brick by Bricks. Not only do we have netting there, but behind that netting we have that beautiful 3M reflective material. All right, let's go to number three. Number three is gonna be the toe cap. Now right there on the toe cap, which is just right below the toe box, the toe cap that is on the Wet Cements, we have like that cracked leather. This is similar to the leather that we've seen on other shoes. It's pretty soft to the touch, but it's like that cracked leather versus the toe cap here on the Brick by Brick. This is more like a rubberized texture. Do you know what that kind of feels like to me now that I'm like squeezing it with my hand? It feels like that rubberized. What is that rubberized spray that you see on the infomercials? Man, I'm forgetting the name of it because I'm old, but the texture is different. Obviously, this is built to be riding a bike, and you hear the texture there. Designed to take a little bit more of a beating. Moving on to number four, it's gonna be the tongue. If you take a look at the tongue on the Wet Cements, it once again is debossed. It's stamped in just like the cobblestone streets in Paris, France. It's kind of stamped into that wet concrete. We have that Jumpman with the flight that's stamped into the tongue versus the patch that we have on the Brick by Bricks. Number 5, the air unit. We have the standard air unit in the wet cements. It's white, which is the only white that is on this shoe. And then if you take a look at the air unit, as you can already imagine, it's going to be red. Moving on to number 6, it's going to be the heel tab. The obvious one. Take a look at the heel tab on the back of the wet cements. We have that classic, and I like it. We have that classic Jumpman right there, but then we get like that retro look of that Nike Air on the back of the Brick by Bricks. Number 7 is going to be the pull tab. Yes, I don't want to go too deep into reference on the pull tab because I really do like to talk about this pull tab. The pull tab on the wet cement 4's is hard plastic, man. Depending on how your foot sits inside this shoe, this is one of the hardest plastics that you can get. It's actually the only downfall on this shoe. I'll talk about this in my wet cement video. And if you take a look at the pull tab on the Brick by Bricks, it is more rubberized and it's a little bit, actually a whole lot better, softer to the touch. It's not SB soft. I will admit that it's not SB soft. It's like military blue soft, but it's softer than the wet cements. Hey, I'm big on that whole pull tab deal. All right, number 8 is just simply going to be put the shape. If you take a look at the shape on the inside between both of these shoes, it's kind of cut and shaped just a little different. It is a subtle hit. It is a subtle hit there, but there is a different shape there on these kicks. Going to number 9, right along with the shape there, you can tell, take a look at the interior. The interior, we have just the padding is a little bit different. Your foot actually sits up a little bit higher, I want to say, in the wet cement 4's versus the Brick by Bricks, where your foot sits just a little bit lower, and there is a little bit more padding, a little bit more cushion. Once again, these are designed to be riding on a bicycle, so the padding is different. Let's talk about the number 10, the outsole. On the outsole of the wet cements, we have one solid color. We have gray, and then in that Jumpman, we just have like a lighter gray right there. But the outsole is different than the Brick by Bricks. We have 2 different colors, 2 different shades of red, but we have red and white with that Nike Air on the bottom. Number 11 can be the laces. We have one set of laces that were included into the wet cements, and this is the gray lace. It's not necessarily wax laces. It's a different looking lace, but on the Brick by Bricks, of course, we have that red lace that comes there, factory lace, and then we have the white laces on these Brick by Bricks. Really does offset all of that red that's there. 2 pairs of laces. Number 12, even though it's a subtle hit, only on the Brick by Bricks, you see we have the baby swoosh right there on that toe cap. So that is another difference. And let's move on to number 13. Is going to be behind the tongue. We have a tab there behind the tongue. We have the classic Air Jordan, upside down Air Jordan behind the wet cements, and behind the Brick by Bricks, we also have a tongue that says Jordan Biking Company. This was established in 2017. Another difference between these kicks. Number 14 is going to be the midsole. The heel at the midsole. Wet cements. This is a subtle difference, but it's still a change. You see it's all grays, all one solid color right there, versus on the Brick by Bricks, you see we have that hit of white right there by the air unit. And finally is going to be the insole, also known as the sock liner, right? On the wet cement 4, it's all gray. It's all gray, and we have that Jumpman there. But on the Brick by Brick, it's red, and then we have Nigel's brand that says Go, that is in white. And there you have 15 differences between these 2 kicks. I have to admit, on a personal level, I find that to be pretty impressive to have the same exact silhouette, but give us 15 different subtle differences to where we can still identify the 2. Me personally, I like both pairs of these kicks. That's why I have them. I actually doubled up on the wet cement 4's. And as you can see here, oh, look, I'm a sucker for these grays because you can put any color laces in here and you can freak this with any outfit. Anyway, what is your favorite shoe? People are deeming this to be the sneaker of the year. And just because it's a collab doesn't mean that it's not a nice shoe, because I just showed you 15 differences between these two kicks. Thanks for tapping in, and while I have you right there, go ahead and tap that like button. I appreciate you. It's always loving this, and oh yeah, and I wanted to save the best for last. As of December 9th, I'm still kind of cheesy about this, your boy is finally monetized, and that's thanks to you. So enjoy another video. Thanks for tapping in. We out.